Hey, how's it going? Seth here, and in this video I'm going to give you a quick overview of the phone system that I've been using for many years now. It's a cloud-based phone system that allows me to, send and receive calls from a dedicated business phone number, so I can literally pick up my personal phone, call somebody else, and on their caller ID they'll see my business phone number. I can also send and receive faxes with this system all online, and I can set up extensions. I can use vanity phone numbers. I can use toll-free 800 numbers if I want. Pretty much all the basic stuff that I need to do in my business I can do through this. So I'm going to give you a quick tour of the one that I'm using, and I'll just show you a little bit more about how it works. So this is the website right here. It's called RingCentral. I'm not saying you have to use RingCentral. There's tons of other options out there. I do think RingCentral is pretty solid though. I've been using it for a long time, and overall I've been pretty happy with them. So if you want to check them out, this is how I would suggest you dive into it and start to navigate through their system. So if you go through the REtipster affiliate link, you'll see a pricing page that looks something like this. Depending on when you're watching it, this pricing may be different. I know these prices happen to change from time to time, but at the time of this recording, this is what the pricing is. When I first started with RingCentral, the plan that I chose was this one right here, the Pro plan. I just needed something super basic that would give me a dedicated phone number to help protect my privacy and things like that. However, I will tell you today, I'm using this one here, the Pro Plus, and the reason I switched to this is mainly because I get 5 extensions here. And something else I'll just mention before we go any further, there's actually a suite of more expensive plans that I don't think most people need, but the reason I'm mentioning this is because I used one of these for a while. I used this Essentials plan, and RingCentral Office is kind of going after a different type of customer than these Pro plans are. RingCentral Office is intended for companies that have like multiple employees that need to communicate with each other. Say if you've got like a team of virtual assistants and they need to get in and be able to call people from your business phone number, or if you want to have ongoing video meetings with them or with other customers, kind of like Skype or Zoom, RingCentral has its own version of that you can use. And the primary reason that I switched to this for a while was really just one reason. It allowed me the ability to send and receive text messages from my RingCentral phone number. And the reason that was important for me was because I was getting a lot of people who would send me texts through the ads that I had on Craigslist. However, I didn't want those texts coming through to my personal number, so I put my RingCentral number out there and then they could send texts through that. So that was why I switched to it, and it does work very, very well. However, I found that I just didn't use it enough to justify it, which was why I eventually switched back to this plan right here. So just be aware of that if you've got a much bigger company that's beyond just yourself, or if you want to be able to send and receive texts from your business number, then you might want to consider one of these. I'll also say if you do switch to this one, you'll lose your faxing capabilities, which is another reason I switched back to this. So with that out of the way, I'd say if you're a one-man or a one-woman shop and you're just getting started and you don't need a lot of complexity, then the Pro plan is probably best. If you already do have an ongoing operation or you know you're going to need multiple extensions like I do, then the Pro Plus is probably most ideal. If you want to get started with any one of these plans, obviously as it says here, you can start by signing up for a free trial, or you can go ahead and just buy it now. So I'll just kind of show you what it looks like when you go through this process. The first thing you're going to do is select your phone number, and you can use either a toll-free number. It'll give you a bunch of different options right off the bat. Or you can use a vanity number. Say if you want to do like 1-888 call Seth or something like that, you could put that in here and see if it's available and just play around until you find one that's catchy and memorable and most importantly available. So you can do that too. Or you can do what I did and just pick a local number, and you just pick whatever city and state you're in, or for that matter, whichever city and state you want to appear that you're in. So go ahead and do that. But again, I'm just going to pick my own area, which is right there. And then you can literally just pick any of these numbers that it makes available. Keep in mind, if you're seeing numbers that, like, for whatever reason you think are going to be hard for people to remember, or you just don't like it for some odd reason, you can always go back and choose a vanity number and do it that way. And it looks like vanity numbers have to be one of these toll-free options. For the sake of this example, I'm going to go ahead and pick this one right there, and then we'll go on to contact information. However, I'm going to stop right here because I already have a RingCentral account, and I'm going to show you what it looks like on the back end. If you decide to go with one of these plans, I'll just give you the quick overview on how it works once you're logged in and you're trying to navigate through it, because it's fairly intuitive, but I think you'll still benefit from having a little bit of explanation along the way. So let's hop over there. Okay, so once you're logged in, the layout will look something like this. So first off, up here at the top, you should see your name and whatever the primary phone number is under your account, whichever one you chose when you were signing up. If you ever want to make a call from your business phone number, all I gotta do is click on this little ring out button, and it's gonna open up this kind of thing. And I gotta tell you, this is actually a little confusing in terms of how this works with this particular plan, because you don't really call out from your computer. What's happening here is when you open this up, you're gonna see a phone number that's just kind of there by default. So for example, this is my cell phone number. You can also put in any other phone number in the world if you want to. And what it's going to do there is once you put in the number that you're trying to call right here in this box, it's not going to call that number directly from your computer. What it's going to do is it's going to call whatever number you have up here. So for example, if I had it set to call my cell phone number, my cell phone would then ring. So I have to actually have a real phone right next to me before I do this. And then when I pick that up, it's going to say, hey, RingCentral is going to connect you with this number. And then it's going to call that number, and when they pick up their phone, they're going to see your RingCentral phone number on their caller ID. So it totally works in terms of how it gets the job done, but it's not the most direct path to doing that. If you did want to be able to literally call somebody from your computer using this online browser or the RingCentral app, then you'd have to get one of those RingCentral Office plans that are a little bit more expensive. So just keep that in mind. If that's important to you, then the Pro Plus plan that I'm showing you here is probably not the one. However, if you're willing to deal with that workaround, it works totally fine. That's what I've been doing for a long time now. So just wanted to kind of explain how that works, because I was a little bit confused by it the first time I had to figure it out. And then also over here, if you want to fax out, basically just send a fax to whoever, you can go ahead and type out whatever that fax number is right here. If you want to include a cover page, you can do that. And they give you different cover page templates you can choose from, which will kind of like auto-populate all the information that should be in there. And then when it comes time to send, like for example, a purchase agreement or a lease or a contract or something like that, you can attach them from your computer, from Dropbox, from Google Drive, any of those things, as long as they're linked up with your account. And you can even schedule the fax to go out at a certain time. Say if you don't want it to happen immediately, but you want it to happen like tomorrow morning at like 10 a.m., something like that, you can do that too. So that's that. Something else you can do is set caller ID. So if you want a specific company name to show up on the caller ID when people get your calls, you can do that. And then auto receptionist. So what's going on here is you can set your company hours. This actually really came in handy when I was still working my full-time job and I couldn't answer my company phone when I was at work, but I could answer it from the hours of like 5 p.m. to 10 p.m. You can get very specific about that right here by setting custom hours on each day of the week, saying specifically when you do or don't want to be available. And then something else you can do here is set whatever you want your company greeting to be. Something I did was I hired a voiceover artist from Fiverr to put together a message for me. I think it was like $50 or so, and he did a pretty solid job. You can just hear it right here quick.
Hello, and thank you for calling. If you know your party's extension, you may dial it at any time. If you would like to find out more information about selling your property, please press 1. If you are calling to find out more information about one of our properties for sale, please press 2.
You can either upload a professionally made audio file and have that play as your greeting, or you can just record it yourself, or I think they even have like canned responses that you can use here as well. So it's up to you however you want to do that. You can also create custom answering rules. For example, if somebody's calling from a specific number at a specific time, you can tell it to do specific things. So like say if I know I'm going to be out of town on vacation for a set period of time, I could select that date range and then go over here and tell it what kind of greeting to play, or whether it should just bypass that greeting, or whether it should just disconnect. There's all kinds of rules you can set up to have it do whatever you want, depending on the situation. So this is kind of an example of the capabilities you'll have with a paid service like this. You can also set up call recording here for whatever reason if you want to, and if you do have that, you can have it automatically play an announcement at the very beginning so that people are aware they're being recorded. Sounds something like this.
This call is being recorded. If you do not wish to be recorded, Please disconnect at this time.
It's kind of a cool little feature to have in there. If you have like a virtual assistant working for you and you want to monitor how good of a job they're doing answering your calls. This groups and other thing, honestly, for me, since I'm like mostly a one-man show and I'm pretty much the only person that's ever in this account, I have no need for this. But if you did have multiple people involved with your account, like a sales department or an acquisitions department or something like that, this could definitely come in handy. And then if you move over here to users, so this is a list of all my extensions. So I've got this first one up here just called general info. Honestly, that's probably the most pointless extension I have. I don't think anybody ever uses it. Loan servicing, this was one I don't use a lot anymore, but I used to use it a lot more when I had a number of seller finance notes out there and I was servicing them myself. And if my borrowers ever wanted to call to get an update on the status of their loan for whatever reason, they could punch in extension 3 and then go to a dedicated voicemail box for those particular callers. And I've also got this one called postcard leads. This is the toll-free number that goes on all of the direct mail that I send out whenever I'm looking for motivated sellers. So if my goal is to get them to call me back, or even if I just have this number on a blind offer that I've sent out, like, hey, if you have questions, call this number. This is the number that they call, and it goes directly to this extension that I have set up, which is basically just a 2-minute long voicemail that they have to listen to, and then they're allowed to leave a message. So that's what I've got going on there. I've also got another dedicated phone number set up for my sales department, and this is the number that goes on all of my real estate listings that I put out there. So if I want somebody to call me and just get a message specifically talking to one who may be looking to buy one of my properties, I've got another separate professionally recorded voicemail message here. And this is something that actually rings on my phone first, which again is something you can totally set up and customize here. Say if I want my phone to ring like 4 times or something like that, and if I don't answer, then it goes to that voicemail message box. I can do it that way, or I can have it set up to just not even ring on my phone. It just goes directly to voicemail. Or for that matter, I can tell it to ring on somebody else's phone. All I'd have to do is go here and click on call handling and forwarding. And it looks like currently I've got it set up to ring for 6 rings or 30 seconds. I could also have this set up to go to literally anybody else's phone number if I wanted to. So for example, if I had a virtual assistant or some kind of sales guy on my team that I wanted to have handle all of that stuff, I could just put their number in there and then it would go ring on their phone instead of mine. But again, the caller doesn't have that person's phone number or my phone number. All they have is the company phone number. So you can also set up after hours rules, say when I'm asleep at night or starting at like 5 p.m. Whenever I'm done working for the day, I can say, okay, in those cases, send callers directly to voicemail or play an announcement and disconnect or forward calls to somebody else. So there's a lot of flexibility there. Now, something else you can do here, if you really want, you can log into the RingCentral website and handle everything from here, which is totally cool. That's how I've done it for years. However, there's also a RingCentral app where you can do pretty much all the same stuff that you can do from the website. And frankly, I think it's a little bit easier to work with just because there's fewer buttons to figure out how to use. For example, if I want to make a call, all I got to do is click on this button, go ahead and type in the number and hit that green button and it will place that call. Or if I want to send out a fax, it's pretty much the same kind of thing where I can just put in all the details, go ahead and drop the document right here and it'll send it that way. There's also the call log if I want to see anybody and everybody who's called me. There's also this envelope over here where I can see any missed voicemails or faxes. I can literally open this stuff up right here from the app. So honestly, like just in your day-to-day use, I would say the desktop app is probably a lot easier to use. However, if you want to get in and monkey around with the answering rules or the voicemail messages or any of that nitpicky administrative stuff, that's when you would want to go to the website itself and do it all there. I'll also say RingCentral has a pretty solid app. I use it on my iPhone all the time when I'm making calls and it works really well. I would say if you choose to use a tool like this, and again, this is not the only option out there. I'm not telling you it's the best at everything, but it does work pretty well once you've figured out all the intricacies of how it works. But yeah, that's how RingCentral works. I will have an affiliate link beneath this video that will send you to that pricing page for both the RingCentral Pro plans that I'm using and the RingCentral Office plans, which I've played around a little bit and I think they probably make more sense for bigger companies. But again, for me and what I need, the Pro plans were pretty sufficient. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I can also tell you RingCentral does have halfway decent support. So if you ever get stuck on any of this stuff or you just don't understand what you can or can't do based on the membership plan you've selected, I've always found their support to be be, I don't know if I'd say amazing, but it's definitely good enough to get the job done. Appreciate you watching. I hope this was helpful to you. And whatever phone system you choose to use, I wish you all the best as you're working in your real estate business.